Hi everyone, and welcome to session 4. In session 4, you're going to be reading chapters 8 through 10, and I have provided a couple interesting videos that you can review right here. With these videos, they're going to be looking at the role of inflation in GDP. For this week, you have your devotion, if you'd like to participate in it. We also have the session 4 on inflation, and this is your discussion board. Now, with the discussion board for this week, you want to make sure to focus on having an in-text citation and reference in APA format. What you want to focus on is the impact of rising prices in our economy. When prices rise in our economy, the challenge that we're facing is if our wages don't increase as much as the price is rising, this will create a challenge for us. That's one of the things you want to focus on. It's called the role of purchasing power. And purchasing power is very important to evaluate. Let me get back here to the module. Now, you also have the Article 2 summary. So let's go to that. With the Article 2 summary, you're going to locate an article dealing with deficits and debt in the U.S. economy. You can search for this in Google using many different types of search words, like U.S. debt and 2014, U.S. deficits and 2014. What you want to do is find an article that's relevant to either deficits and the debt, and you want to answer the three main questions. In your work, make sure to focus on APA formatting and make sure to answer those three questions. What are the implications of the current level of deficits and debt? Is the current level going to be increasing indefinitely? And what are some of the indications or solutions? Here's how you're being graded. Appropriate article, content of the article, and the mechanics. So the mechanics and the appropriate article is mostly 60% of the paper. So really focus on those two aspects to do well. Now let's go. You also have chapter 8 through 10 quiz right here. But let's go to week 4 homework and let's go through each of the questions. Now, we'll go through each of them, and I'll give you my comments on each of them. How did the decline in the U.S. home prices in 06 to 08 affect aggregate demand? Well, you notice when the prices of homes decreased, consumers' wealth decreased, which caused a decrease in aggregate demand. So you want to focus on that aspect. In question 2, classical theory is focused on an economy that adjusts on its own without any intervention. That's what you'd want to focus on that question. Question 3, did President Obama make the right policy decisions? How can you be sure? So focus on the policies of President Obama and do you support them or not based on that question. Question 4, you're going to draw an ADAS graph on your own, and you're going to assume this following right here. At what price level does equilibrium occur? So you want to look at where does quantity demanded equal quantity supplied? What curve would have shifted to an output of 800 and price level of 800? So you want to look at which curve would have shifted, both of them or one of them, and you can do it either way. Now, question 5. Go to page 162. You're going to answer these following questions, and they're pretty straightforward in what they're looking at. Question 6. If every $1,000 increases the real price of homes, add 6/10 to the annual consumer spending. That's the wealth effect. How consumers feel. They feel wealthier. How much did consumption decline when prices fell by 2 trillion in '06 to '08? So you want to calculate this equation. 1,000 over 2 trillion equals 6 cents times blank. And that blank is how many million that you'd want to focus on. Given this right here, the $1,000.06. Question 7. You want to look at the quarterly growth rates between '05 and '08. And look at this figure right here to answer that question. Question 8. Look at aggregate demand. To find aggregate demand, it equals these 4 components right here. So aggregate demand will equal 80 plus 20 plus 30. It's 110 plus 15. So it equals 125. That's what that's looking at. So you're going to add these 4 up. So don't try to get those confused. What is the level of equilibrium GDP? So GDP will equal aggregate supply. How large is the gap? Is looking at the difference between aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Question 9. How might declining prices affect a firm's decision to borrow and invest? So if a firm has declining prices, you'll know that they're more likely to be able to invest because of the cheaper prices. And they'll be able to borrow more money as well. So that's something you want to put into your analysis. Question 10. Unwanted inventories pile up in retail stores. How is production affected? So if we have an increase in production, you'll notice that firms will want to slow down. If there's an increase in inventories, firms will want to slow down the production to ensure that they have enough available to sell before they give the store more products. Question 11. How might construction industry jobs losses affect incomes in the clothing and travel industry? So if the construction industry, if they lose income, the loss of income will affect those 2 industries. So you want to focus on the connection or the relationship between those 2. Question 12. How might belt tightening by consumers in a recession be unwelcome? So in a recession, consumers need to spend money to stimulate the economy. If consumers save money, that's not going to help the economy be able to grow. Question 13 is a straightforward question. Question 14 is also a straightforward question when you're trying to solve for consumption. So you put 4 trillion right here, and you want to solve for Y. Question 15. How much do they save? So how much do they save if you look at the change in income? So consumption equals 300 billion plus 0.9Y. Now, the marginal propensity to consume is 0.8. What is the value of the multiplier? So the equation for the multiplier is 1 over MPS. So if the MPC is 0.8, the multiplier will be 1 over 0.2, which equals 5. So now, what is the same type of question. What's the MPS? The MPS is 0.2. You could report it as a decimal, which is 1 over 5. And question 18 is your slides right here. But make sure to focus on getting your work in on time. And if you have any questions, please let me know. But I look forward to your effort this week.